Welcome, everybody, to the Loud and Drunk podcast. I'm your host, Dan Legendstein. Oi, we got a great show for you today. Joined again, as always, by Moses. Moses, what the hell happened last night? You look like shit.
There was a series of events that led to more drinking than the minutes previous, and it just gets a little cloudy right around, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, that sounds right, actually.
Yeah.
Because I can guarantee that we were drinking.
Yeah, I think that's when it started.
Yeah, I was feeling rough.
I did get a big bottle of Pacifico, big inflatable bottle.
That's true.
From,
you were trying to give it to a baby.
The
That's
baby
true. I have
loved
a photo of this.
The baby loved it.
The baby did love it. Yeah.
Babies love bottles.
Wow.
That's a parenting tip for you.
Thank you.
The opposite of love might be anger. And
Yes.
Justin, we got a lot to be angry about in this particular podcast.
Yes. Well, I know I do. Everything has pissed me off this week, and I'm just hoping to imbibe enough liquor as fast as I can to just make it a smooth process while we work through it.
And I am Willie Mays, very happy to be here. Obviously, center fielder for the San Francisco Giants. When I heard that Jimmy Davenport, who played on the same team as me, was here last week for a recording, I just knew that I had to be on the show as well. And honestly, a lot of the San Francisco Giants, we are all looking forward to being on future podcasts, which really kind of negates the names that were used previously, because obviously I was just talking about Jimmy Davenport. Fantastic player, third baseman for the most part. He also served as a manager for a little bit. Fantastic player, fantastic manager. Just a little shout out to him, even though he's been dead for a few years.
R.I.P.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was
RIP
taken
for
out
days.
because of a knee injury, wasn't it?
It was, I believe it was along that line. It was a torn ACL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like him.
Typical in
So
baseball,
typical.
absolutely. But I'm just happy to be here. I hope that we are talking about baseball. Let's just see what happens.
Well, this is going to be interesting.
Yes.
But before we get into all of that, we have a sponsor, guys.
Holy shitballs.
Look at us.
That's amazing.
Coming up in the world.
So welcome to the Loud and Drunk fold, True Jersey. Summer's here and the time is right for stopping by TrueJersey.com. From t-shirts, hats, and hoodies, True Jersey will show off your local pride like no other. And now, Loud and Drunk listeners can save 10% off their first order. Just go to TrueJersey.com and enter the code LOUD at the checkout to save 10%. Thank you to True Jersey for sponsoring the program. True Jersey, stay true.
I'm actually from San Francisco, so that's not relevant for me.
Well, you should get something to commemorate your stay in New Jersey because you don't play here often.
No, that's true. I haven't played in years, to be quite honest with you. I was born in 1933, so.
Well, you don't look a day over 30.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's very thoughtful of you. I was actually anticipating a little bit of a rougher go on this show, but honestly, there's just a lot of friendly faces.
He's just lubing you up.
Well, that's, also very nice of him, because I've been on the other side of that boat.
Oh, no, black don't crack, so there's,
Oh, yeah, for days. Yeah.
I mean, I know I unfortunately missed the podcast recently, but I heard he was very courteous, so I know he has it in him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
From what I understand from Jimmy Davenport is that it was like watching a son talk to his mother. It was very wholesome. He had a great time.
She is my mother.
Yeah. Oh, she is?
Yeah, that was my
I
mom.
didn't know that. Wow.
Oh.
That's crazy.
Thanks.
You have different last names. though.
Thanks, Mama Kim.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, yeah. Is she listening right now?
I have to assume. Everybody's listening to this.
I think everybody is
Yes,
listening to this.
It's the new big hit.
It's like broadcast on like the national radio. Well, are there loudspeakers in this country where they just like do that?
They're at the camps,
Is
yes.
this a dystopia? Where am I right now?
You'll figure it out.
all right. Let's keep it going.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of where we're broadcast on, you can subscribe to this podcast. We are everywhere you get your podcasts. So Apple, Google, Spotify, all of those places. We're also on YouTube and Rumble. So be sure to smash that like button, leave us a comment, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to our channels. We want you to be a part of the conversation, so join us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Make sure you're helping us out by leaving us a 5-star review on Apple and Facebook. If you like this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter. You can find us on Locals at loudanddrunk.locals.com and on Patreon at patreon.com/loud and drunk. So if you don't really want to go shopping at True Jersey, you can do one of those things. Willie Mays Hayes.
Yes, that sounds wonderful. I'll take the haze in there as well. Yeah. That is a nice addition to my name. It's got a good roll off of the tongue. I don't know why I didn't think of this in my 70-year career. But no, that feels right. And yes, I think that people should support, what is it, New Jersey? What are we talking about here?
True Jersey.
True Jersey.
Yes.
True
Yes.
Jersey.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that the name of the state?
No, that's the name of the store.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, no, that's great. People should. I love it. I love it. Every day I go to that store.
I too go there to the store. That's where I get my podcasts from.
Yeah. Nice. All right.
Do they sell our podcast at the store?
Yeah, there's a big markup, but it's, I don't know why I'm paying for the thing I'm doing, but all right.
Well, feels right.
It's mad world,
It's
baby.
like drinking.
Mad world.
Well, speaking of a mad world, we're a mad bunch of guys.
Yes.
We've all
Yes.
had a little bit of, some mad issues this week. So I believe, Justin, you have a few of these stories. Why don't you kick us off with what pissed me off recently?
Yes. I have some grievances, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a hot week. It's been a long week. And you know what? A lot of things have pissed me off. First on my list of aggravating factors, cyclists. Not the regular, I'm going to my job on my bicycle, doing what I got to do thing. I'm talking about the lycra up with the fancy helmets and the little mirrors that they don't use, and they ride in the middle of the road.
It's like a part of their identity.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm a cyclist. Yeah, somebody like, what are you into? I'm like, I'm a cyclist professionally.
So it's like I live off of a 2-lane highway, and I got stuck behind a group of these like geriatric cyclists who were taking up the entire road essentially and would not let anybody pass. So you have to go down the road at a hot 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, like not for nothing. If you're going to do that, then you should be pedaling at 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you're going to make a big deal out of what you're doing, then do it.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's like, oh, I'm a cyclist. I have the right to be here. This is my road now.
And we should have bike lanes, but they wouldn't stay in them if we did.
No.
The bike lanes are for like kids and people who are casually, as you said, people who are like casually riding somewhere,
Right.
At a fast or a slow speed. But that's what the lane is there for, and we should have those.
They
But
should
we
be
don't.
going. They should be going 60 because that lycra speeds you up. And
Is that what it's for?
oh yeah, it reduces the wind
I
resistance.
don't know what lycra is. I know it's a fabric.
Yeah,
It's
an industry
these
term.
weird like onesies that they wear.
All right.
Like one piece, and they're typically super garish and colorful, like they're on a team, like doing the Tour de France.
I feel like everyone who falls into this framework is essentially like a doctor somewhere. There's like and I'm sorry to doctors who aren't douchebags, but like it seems
There's
like
not
there's a
many of them,
super douchey, condescending quality to it that's like almost offensive.
It's just like, what is it? I can't even think of the word right now, which is hilarious, but it's like the indignation I feel about it is just
Good word, though.
They own the road.
Wow.
They're like so confident.
Yeah.
And it just aggravates me. Bro, I'm trying to get to work.
My feeling about it is, and this is why I was so excited when you told me that you were going to do this,
Yeah.
is that the bar that I routinely hang out at, the local fucking podunk, and they roll up. When they roll up, it's like in a set.
Oh, yeah.
They got like their stupid fucking gang signs and shit. And they're just like, they take up the whole fucking bar and then have this, and I'll borrow your word here, this garish attitude about everything. And my sentiment is like, I'm here getting drunk every day at 11 a.m. You started at 6 and you're showing up because like you need some calories in you, but I'm just trying to get drunk and rolled out of bed a minute ago, and you're going to be condescending to me because I'm the only one who's actually doing this right. You're riding a bicycle at 6, 7 in the morning to prove to yourself that you can accomplish something. And it's just, I don't know. I just find it offensive in general. There's like a certain level of health that people reach where they care about it enough that it stops being like good for you. You're trying to burn some calories, or get in better shape. And it just becomes like, no, you're just like a douchebag now,
Well, it's in a lot of these cyclists, they're in their full gear. That includes the helmet that has the little mirror that hangs off of it that they're supposed to use. Which they don't use. And it's just, fuck you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I hate cyclists.
I refuse to wear a helmet when I ride my bike, and I'm aware that like you could crack your skull open and it's just like a ripe watermelon out on the pavement kind of scenario.
well, that would happen if you were walking too. Watermelons are slippery.
Well, I mean, I don't have to. My neck holds my head up, so it's a non-issue. I don't need to have like a good grip on it. You're right, though. Watermelons are very slippery. Yeah, but yeah, no, I have a negative sentiment about that. Like, I guess in general, I feel like I hate cyclists now, and I just needed somebody to kind of validate.
They
that
deserve our ire, and if you've been in this situation, you know how obnoxious it is.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
They've all screw them.
I like this rant. I like this rant because I've also been in this situation where you're just trying to drive to wherever, and a cyclist doesn't know what the rules of the road are and thinks that it doesn't apply to them.
Well, the rules of the road, really, if you leave the government out of it, are might makes right. And I am driving a 1-ton vehicle, and I assure you that at any moment you could be dead.
And this
is by the grace of me that you are allowed to continue your bike ride, to go and be a shithead at a bar that you've never been to ever.
We can add an addendum to this with motorcyclists as well, because they tend to do this thing where, let's say you're in gridlock.
Oh, yeah.
And they like to bob it, or go between the lanes.
Yeah.
And then I remember being on in gridlock, and was trying to cut me off. I'm like, no. What do you think is happening here? You're illegally driving between all of these cars, and you think I'm just going to let you in out of the goodness of my heart?
It's funny. I've been in damn near gridlock traffic on the Parkway, which if you're from our beautiful state, we all know what that's like. And then you got some 22-year-old kid on a Gixxer or something that's just splitting lanes between cars.
The people who do that most commonly are young people and crotch rockets, and they're not like an open road motorcyclist kind of person. They're not this is their primary mode of transportation. And they're cutting between everything. And when I've seen it, it's typically that they're flying between the cars, going, well over 50 miles an hour in stop traffic. So it doesn't take a whole lot to fly off of that bike. And at 50, you're dead.
I try to keep up with them, they're ahead. But because I want to see it happen when they crash. I want to be there and just I'll change a windshield if the head
shockingly, you're the only one of us with medical training, and yet you're the most unwilling to help your fellow man.
I just like to know I can.
That's his power.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he just cruises so fast in his Kia Soul or where the fuck it is.
Be like, you can't park that there. Tell you what your problem is. See, your head, it's supposed to be on you.
Well, but that's just it. They're very slippery, though.
They're like watermelons.
Oh, my God. All right, I got another one that pissed me off. Well, we were here in New Jersey, in the general lower shore area, which this time of year is an absolute shit show because of tourists.
Well,
I was in my local Wawa the other day, and just the smell. First of all, they just stand around and talk to each other like they all know each other.
Why?
I don't get why anybody stands around in Wawa and talks. Unless you're waiting for a sub that you're getting made.
I'm so desperate to get out of a Wawa. Honestly, any store.
Yeah.
Any corporate. I need to have a good reason to stay somewhere. Otherwise, I go home.
And and I know it's an old Italian person, but the Jaguar Noir, whatever that
it's thick with it.
Oh, it really infects your sinuses and your throat, and it's just
you gotta lather it on.
Yeah. If you're Italian and you're doing it right, then you want for your scent to precede you,
right,
before you even enter the building.
Oh, it does.
You want it to almost
usually
do an
it's garlic,
but I mean,
I'd rather take the garlic.
Yeah,
I
love
like
the
garlic.
Smell of garlic. Yeah. Love the smell of garlic.
But, terrible. There was 20 of them, and they're not even waiting for sandwiches. They're just, they all similarly have, this uniform that they wear.
I've noticed this. This is a thing. They, prep up for
Yeah.
And, not for nothing, we have all traveled together.
Yeah.
And it's never even crossed my mind that we would meet beforehand.
Right.
And say, hey, let's coordinate our outfits. Right. In the same way as I wouldn't say that if we were going to the bar on a random Tuesday.
Right.
It just seems so outlandish.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. I got another addendum that pissed me off, speaking of Wawa. So, the other day, I'm absolutely melting at work. Just getting crushed by the heat.
Brutally fucking hot out. I fucking hate it.
Yeah, the humidity's been just damn near 100% every day. Just getting crushed. So I stop in the afternoon to get myself a little, one of those strawberry shortcake pops. Bring a little light to my day.
Those are delicious.
Yeah, it was good. I haven't had one probably 10 years. And I get it, and the ever so bubbly cashier lady is just like, oh, Oh, ice cream makes everything better. Ice cream, ice cream, ice cream. That'll improve your mood. It's hot outside. That ice cream will really save your day.
She works for Chuli's Ice Cream.
It's like, why do cashiers have to comment?
Because they're so fucking bored and want to have a conversation with anybody. But, like, I'm bored a lot. And I don't, like, knock on my neighbor's door and be like, hey, what are you having for dinner? I was bored. Let me take advantage of this situation where I have you held captive, which is really what that is. That you need this person to facilitate the rest of the transaction. And now they're going to talk your ear off about, like, how they want you to feel better. And, like, to me, that's, like, always condescending.
It was one of the few times, this is like the Wawas have like the self-checkout now, where I was like, I should have used the self-checkout.
Oh,
Even though I'm like somewhat opposed to that as a concept.
I would use it, but I always get cigarettes when I go to Wawa,
that's
so
my
it's
thing.
like I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
do that.
I always use the self-checkout because you can steal from the self-checkout. And I don't need to steal from the self-checkout, but I do because I want to. And I feel like that's one of those moments where you can just kind of like, you pretend, I don't know what the fuck I'm buying there, but let's say it's several loaves of bread. For no reason at all.
Yeah.
And you just pretend like you didn't know that you bought 8. You know,
you got a carbo load. I mean, I get it. You're an athletic guy.
That's what
it is. Yeah, I'm super
The
athletic.
church's French toast breakfast.
What is that?
The church's French toast breakfast.
Oh, why do I vaguely remember this?
I don't know. I just made it up.
I feel like we were
That's
watching
very
a
clever.
Christian documentary yesterday about about the Dugars.
Was there a? I
Yeah,
know she
there
was
was like a-
making
there
loaves
was
of bread
like a-
in it, but I don't.
yeah,
I didn't-
well, I mean that's pretty much what most.
oh,
of it
there's
was.
like 50,000 people in that family.
It's
and
19, but yeah,
It's all.
they lost their last kid because God hates them.
Al. God's not the only
Aren't a
one.
couple of them like pedophiles now or something?
Yeah,
like
they
that?
were all arrested for
They were-
serious crimes.
They were always pedophiles.
Yeah.
Yeah. This wasn't something that they learned.
They learned it from God.
They were fucked up people. Yeah.
You know what? That's fair.
Yeah.
I'll take that. They've always been pedophiles. It's just
you don't
I guess.
knock out fucking. You don't get fucking 19 kids and be on a TLC show and blah 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 because there's not something wrong with you.
It's the Learning Channel.
Oh my God, I am so sorry to offend you, sir.
I have learned nothing.
Yeah.
I just want that.
You
pointed
learned
out.
how terrible people are.
I already knew how terrible people are. That's why I don't go out that often.
Yeah, this is why I don't cycle.
All right, I got one more thing. It's a quick little snip here. Read the small print on shit. So I got an email from the power company, JCP&L, or I guess larger, First Energy, whatever it's called.
First Energy.
Yeah, they sent me an email. You can get rebates for having a smart thermostat. Mm-hmm. Which I already have or whatever. But I'm reading this email. I'm going through the small print. And basically, they're trying to get people to hook up their smart thermostats and give JCP&L the control.
Yeah.
So that they can, in
total
times
bullshit.
of need, adjust your temperature on
That's
your
such
thermostat
bullshit,
like
yeah.
5 degrees
I feel
either
like,
way.
I feel like
that.
the general gist of it is that when you get an email from a corporation,
Yeah.
I always visualize like a nefarious Looney Tunes-esque villain on the other side. And he's like, maybe I'm tied up to the railroad tracks. Maybe it's someone I love.
Yeah.
But that's what they're doing. They're furling their hands and they're making a little bit
And
more
it's like
money
if
from
you're
that.
unfortunately like
That's
naive
why I always
enough or,
use
like,
good, clean
too
New Jersey
lazy.
natural gas.
I use acne gas.
Shut up. But if you like you look at because they try to sweeten the deal. Oh, you'll get like a $75 gift card to this and a $25 credit. Blah 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 blah. So it's like I know people that don't read shit.
Yeah.
I'm not even looking at this.
I'm
and
guilty of
I'm
that.
wasting my time reading the small print on it. And it's like they have control of your thermostat up to a 10-degree swing.
Yeah.
That's wild.
The idea, see, this is why I don't like a general, like the like smart technology.
Right.
Basically anything that just like ties into to Wi-Fi and
Yeah.
someone else can control it. I'm opposed to it for that reason. It's that like I can just adjust it when I'm home. If I'm warm, I can make it colder.
Right.
And if I'm cold, I can make it hotter. And I don't really need that to be connected to Wi-Fi because the only reason that it would ever be relevant to me is if I was already there. And then I can just do the thing. It's not a lot of work.
It's just so funny. It's like so brash. It's just like Yeah, you're handing over the control of your thermostat to the power company.
Well, that's just that. I mean, we're moving in that direction where eventually, the government will just control,
Right here, you
temperature
can
of your home, I
have
guess.
the approved regulated temperature.
They do that in, I don't know this, and we were there, but I don't know this for a fact in that I didn't experience it, but I have read that in Japan, and I don't know if it's like a rule that's like enforced in the way that you're describing,
Right.
or if it's like a thing that's just kind of pressed upon the Japanese population, which is usually pretty accommodative to requests.
Yeah.
Just like culture-wise, but they began raising the temperature. You know how like for myself in the home, I try to keep it at like 70, 72, something like that.
Yeah.
If I'm really warm, like I'll cool it down a bit.
Yeah.
And in Japan, what they did the same thing, 70, 72. And then over the past like decade or so, where they had energy issues and temperature issues.
Correct.
They began raising that. So they raised it to 74. And it was like, public broadcasts essentially on where they're like, you should keep your house at 74. And they press you about it. Like if you know a neighbor who is keeping their house below 74, maybe you should say something to them kind of scenario, See something, say something kind of bullshit,
Yeah.
And now they just raised it to 76 because they're short on the energy resource necessary. Yeah.
I was in that same email, I believe there was an infographic of like what you should have your stuff set at for like efficiency.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, so like during the day it's like 78 degrees. At night when you go to bed, 82?
Yeah.
And then I'm like,
How am I getting to
get
sleep?
fucked. I'm sorry, that is ridiculous.
And that's the irony of it. Is that what we're gradually doing is just regressing to where we just get rid of industrial society, which I'm not terribly opposed to. But the idea that we're just going to gradually work our way back to, yes, things should just be at room temperature. It's like, let's just get rid of fucking air conditioning. And we live the way people did for 10,000 years.
It does seem like we're going backwards in a way. The more we
'Cause
go forward, the more we go backwards.
The whole system that we created is unsustainable, but they don't want to say that. So instead, we're just going to slowly walk it back and make it seem like it's altruism in some way, which is like, then just do it because you don't need to add the spit in the face to it and make it seem like you're good, First Energy Group or whatever the fuck you're called now. It can just be that we're trying to save money, make money, and you guys need to be a little bit warmer than usual. This whole thing was like a fucking, smoke and mirrors kind of routine, and it's coming to an end now.
I blame the people that have their houses set to like 64 degrees in the summer.
That's probably true. Yeah.
I keep mine cooler.
You are an animal.
I like the cold. It's easier to stay warm than it is to stay cold.
I mean, I like the
I
cold
agree with
too.
that, yeah.
But, I mean, my God.
Nah, fuck those other people. And fuck those icebergs and polar bears, too, because I want
Not
to be
fuck
cool.
polar bears. They're cool animals.
Well, then they could be cool. And I like to be cool,
They
too.
can't be cool if you keep setting your house to 60 degrees.
They could come over. They could come hang with me.
I think their migration might be challenging for that.
Well-
How many seals do you have for them to prey on?
2.
He's going to be singing a different tune when his cats and dog are dead.
All right. I mean, those are my grievances for the week. And I'll end it on not an uplifting note, but a note. I'll give a little shout out to Phil, the 6-year-old Juggalo gas attendant who forced me to hug him the other day.
Nice.
That was odd and interesting, so thank you for that, Philip.
Yeah. It sounds like it was warm.
Juggalos are weird.
A 60-year-old Juggalo is even
weirder. That is weird.
He's way too old to even know what that band is.
Fortunately, he doesn't know what a podcast is, so he'll never
Thank
hear
God.
Oh, all right. Well, then I'll give him
He'll
a
be
shout
here
out,
hugging
too.
us all.
it. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got. I feel lighter. I feel better.
Yeah, I'm glad you were able to vent.
Until next time,
Yeah.
when I have a new list of things that
We got
have pissed
a
me
whole
off.
new week ahead of us.
Always come back to the nest, because
Yeah.
you can just air it out here.
My goodness. Don't be a dickhead. Get in the shoulder.
Or just be a dick. I don't know.
Anybody else got anything they want to air?
I've had a pleasant week. Been
Yeah,
nice.
you look like it.
Yeah. that's-
Well, I
call
He did
bullshit.
this to himself.
I drank all my memories away last night, and now I'm free of whatever I did the past week.
No. This week in particular was pretty decent for me. I can't really complain. I had my fiasco at Atlantic City last week.
All right.
If you want to hear that, I can.
Yeah, drop it on us, baby.
All right, so I guess I'll do my best version to do the shortest version of the story.
Good, because it's
Yeah, I'm bad at this.
this is the fourth time. Fifth time I've heard this.
Apparently, when you go to Tropicana in Atlantic City, you're supposed to bring your own bed sheets with you. They cannot provide those. That's a thing. Also, reservation does not mean that the space is reserved for you. To elaborate slightly further, I assume that I've told you guys this, but I'll elaborate for those listeners. Reserve a room, whatever that word means. And
It's just an
it's got
idea.
2 double queens for 2 couples. And roll up on the spot. It's about 10 p.m., so it's a little bit late to be checking in, but not unreasonable.
No,
It's
not for Atlantic City, no.
Yeah, it's a city of vice, you know, so it's not unreasonable. And they go, no, we don't have that room. And I go, whoa, that's a big problem because we do have to sleep here. We drank so much before we got to this lobby desk. And the person who's there, whose fault it is not, they're just, they're doing their job and what have you. But they explained to me that Caesars Corporation, which owns Tropicana, their policy is that when you reserve a room, it doesn't mean that they hold it for you. And that's my mistake because I interpreted the
How
word.
dare you assume?
Yeah, I interpret
Why
the
would
word in
you
a
say-
literal fashion as opposed to this Caesar's fashion, which allows a lot of leeway. And so she was so kind as to explain to me that, that the room is not reserved for you. It's still first come, first serve, a phrase which was repeated to me multiple times. And I found enormously frustrating, not just because of the alcohol in my bloodstream, but because it makes no goddamn sense. And so eventually, since I was in the company of people who I appreciate and did not want to see me in this bad light,
AKA not us.
yeah, correct. Yeah. Oh, if you were there, we would have been there until fucking 4 a.m.
I would have been instigating it more. I don't think you got enough out of
Yeah, we would not be doing this podcast right now. We would be in jail.
Yes.
that person has a family they haven't talked about yet.
Yeah. But so they explained this to me, and I said, listen, rather than argue with you in this good company that I have, I will simply purchase another king because they had that available. I said, we can't give you the double bed. We can give you a king for the same price.
Right.
That's what I paid for the first one, which is $450
Yep.
on a Saturday night in Atlantic City. And so I said, fine, because I will get this refunded. So I don't care what the second thing costs because I was being a little douchey about it because honestly, I had every right to pay. And she goes, well, let me see if I have one. And I go, you have one. You absolutely have one. I am not
You got
leaving
4 fucking
this room.
towers of room.
I'm trying to be
There's gotta
nice
be
about
one.
this, and I said it was for my friends, which strongly implies that I've got an anger in me right now. So she does find another one. She goes, it's going to be a bit more expensive. So that second room was $600.
Why?
Because I
Just 'cause it
needed
was
it
at the time?
Because I needed it. Yeah. So I said, fine. Because I know that it's not that person's fault. It's a policy issue. It's Caesars, so on and so forth. So we get this room, and myself and my lady, we go up there, and it is a bare mattress. It appears that maybe people have been fucking on the chairs that are like in the corner. There's like disheveled, like it's not the way that like a housekeeper would have done it. It's not organized. It looks like you had like a fucking fucked up night, and you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh my god, like should I call someone right now? And so we observed this. And called up housekeeping, obviously. And a middle-aged lady shows up and she goes, I cannot believe that they gave you this. And we obviously nodded in approval.
Yes.
Yeah, we were also shocked for $600,
Yeah.
And we go through these motions. We wait for her to get done. And then we wander down to the floor. The whole reason you're in AC, to go and get fucked up and
Yep.
gamble. We do all of these things. Hours go by. We do the shots. We do the drinks, all these things. And we get back to the room. And we pass out. We do our things. We pass out.
Yeah.
And I wake up in the morning. We've got this. It's lovely. We had this nice king, so we were able to do the things that we want to do.
Yeah.
And yeah. Well, if you're in a double queen, I kind of wanted the 2 rooms in the first place. I've got intentions, and not all of them are wholesome. So we go back up to the room. Pass out, and I wake up. We had to leave early, which I was aware of. I pass out. I wake up at like 9 a.m. or so
Okay.
to my lady just being like, hey.
Oh no.
And I jump up out of the fucking bed, because it's just like in my sleep that sounded like there was danger.
Yeah.
And she's standing there, and I'm going to use her words. She goes, I'm a wet rat right now. And I look over at her through my hazy eyes, and indeed, the hair is fucking completely, soaked, drooped down. She's soaking wet. And I'm just like staring at her with this like look of confusion. And she goes in this like soft, ladylike voice. And she just goes, there's no towels. And there was almost like, like a level of sadness.
Right.
And sure enough, indeed, when we got the sheets, we did not think to check the bathroom. Because why the fuck would you think that you paid $600 for a goddamn hotel room and there's no goddamn towels? So I call up, we wait on hold for forever. They never show up. And eventually she's just like, listen, I air dried. Let's just get the fuck out. So we bounce, and I end up calling Caesars. I call up Tropicana. They say, we can't do that here, which is total bullshit. But I didn't want to get into an argument on the phone because that's a fool's errand. So
No.
So I get the other phone number. I call up Caesars Corporate, and I get somebody who's professional on the phone. So not like a call center person. The person was not from India. They were clearly somebody who was from South Jersey. They had the right accent, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I've done this like for the business. I've done this many times. And so I know to like get the situation out of the way. Let's just describe it. So that way we both know what we're talking about. So I explain, we showed up. They didn't have the room that we bought. They gave us another room. I had to pay for that. Definitely want a refund on that one. Then we get to the room. No fucking towels. No fucking blankets. You know, it's kind of, this is a shit show. This is embarrassing for you guys. Like, I shouldn't even need to explain this. This should have been solved. But okay, accidents happen. No big deal. So this person gets done with my, like, let's call it about probably 2 minutes for me to get all the details out because I'm giving you the short version here. And she responds by saying, well, listen, just because you reserve a room doesn't mean that we hold it for you. So it's the same thing that I heard from the previous
ask
person.
what the definition of reservation
Oh
is?
my God, did I ask? Oh my fucking God, did I ask? It gives you the reservation to have a reservation. And you could only imagine, I'm trying to be chill. I'm trying to be chill, but it was so difficult. When somebody's looking right in your eyes and they're a stranger and they're just like, listen, bro, the sky is purple all the time, and you're the one who's wrong. And it's so frustrating because you want to like do something about that, but then you remember that you live in this shitty fucking world and you just have to kind of like get by with it and make the most. So I just said to her at a certain point, and we are at this point 42 minutes into this conversation because I said it to her over the phone. I took my phone away and I looked at her and I'm like, we've been talking about this for 42 minutes and we are right back where we started. And I'm sure that you're frustrated. I know I'm frustrated. And I was like, let's get to the other part of the story, because I was like, that's a shoo-in. That's like a no-brainer, no sheets on the bed, blah, 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 blah. And I foreshadowed it, but that's all that I say to her. I go, let's get to that part of the conversation. And she doesn't, because I don't need to say anything else. It's already been said. And she says, well, I don't really understand. You knew that you weren't going to be staying in your own house tonight, so why wouldn't you come prepared?
It's like a Douglas Adams thing. Just always bring a towel.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And I truly did not know what to say. And I've dealt with some phone calls where it's like somebody's just kind of like bouncing you around. They're not giving you a straight answer. This one was one where I was like,
So wait, so
wow.
so it's on you to be prepared with bed sheets and towels?
And I said to her straight up, because now the rest of this conversation was another half an hour before I got off the phone. But I said to her, I was like, are you telling me that I should have brought sheets and pillows and towels? And she goes, no, that's not what I'm saying.
You should have
I'm
been
saying
like, oh,
that
I brought sheets, but they were for a queen bed, but you guys didn't have that.
I was not that clever. I was not that clever. I was so fucking mad that it was like taking everything in me to not like be a dickhead. I certainly had no cleverness.
It's a real shame how much anger takes the smarts out of you.
Oh my God. Yeah. I was on a different fucking realm. And she never said you needed to bring your own sheets. She just continued to imply that they should not need to provide them and that I should have known that. And that really like, I'm kind of an idiot and like, it's stupid that I'm even calling her up about this and maybe I should hang up and think about my life. And I was so fucking livid. And I will say this, while I was not very clever and I didn't have any good jokes, I did at least have the fortitude to say, because she was like several times, she said to me, I was fucking pissed off. She goes, sir, there's no need to talk that way. I'm like, there's no need for you to talk to me this way. And so I at least had the fortitude to say to her, because there was like those moments where I knew that we were like close to her hanging up on me. Because they can do that if you get too elevated.
Yeah, if you get too aggressive.
Which is why I
they can
don't
hang up on
curse
you.
or anything like that, and I keep my tone cool. But I mean, you're obviously like, I was very angry, so I was definitely catching like a tood, you know, as was she. And so I would dial it back by being, let's stop right here. Let's just chill out for a minute. And I was like, Fina, that's her name. I don't know what kind of a name that is. She was not black, by the way, which would make more sense.
Like Aquafina?
I don't know. I did not ask her. I feel like that's got a PH in it. Maybe not.
I don't
Regardless, it doesn't matter. Either way, I would stop the conversation and I would say to her, I was like, we're getting away from this. Let's get back to it, because all that I really want to happen before I get off the phone with you, I'm a loyal Caesars customer. Can you just explain to me what the word reservation means? and she would repeat herself, and I would say, I'm sorry, I'm still not getting it. And we would then escalate again, which is how this conversation took so long, because we were both so desperate to not talk to each other ever again. And I wouldn't drop it, and she was not allowed to hang up the phone unless I said something different than that. So it was just awful. And in many ways, I brought the conversation upon myself, which added to the frustration. I did then go and take the recording of the phone call, because I record all of my phone calls with corporate people. So I basically did like a little type out of that, and I just posted it to all the review sites, which I know does nothing, but it made me feel good.
Right.
So I got all of these responses from Tropicana that was just like, we'll relay this to our team so that it doesn't happen again, which just made me angrier in many ways. So like I kind of did myself.
Because it's just a bot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just a fucking bot. But I am going to go in there in a few days. I'm going to dress up in some sort of an outlandish but respectable outfit. Some sort of one of these myriad of suits that I own. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to find somebody where I'm not like, because I feel like on the phone, like I'm then the captive audience, the same way as somebody is, in these other
cashier situation.
The cashier situation when you're stuck in an airplane.
You are stuck in
a
transaction of sorts.
People know when they got you. When you're a bartender, people do it to them. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go and be that guy. And I'm not proud of it, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to go into the casino and I'm going to make sure that I get to a manager. The way that I'm going to do it is that I'm going to stop when I get the person that's willing to take responsibility.
Right.
If it's the person at the front desk who's like, I'm really sorry, there's nothing I can do, that's not that person's fault. So I will move past them by whatever means, necessary. Which makes it sound very violent, actually. Yeah. I'll escalate to that level where I find that person that defends Caesar's policy, and then I'm going to let out this like frustration that I've had for multiple years, really. And just going to take that out on that person. And whether I get anything out of it or not, I guess doesn't really matter.
It's worth a shot. I mean, I'll absolutely say the Caesar-owned casinos and hotels down there have been really kind of hard to deal with the past couple of years.
Yeah, the policy is bullshit because they have a monopoly.
Yeah, and it's really because I didn't even realize until when we did Beer Fest and Moses and I stayed at Harrah's that was a Caesar.
That was a Caesar.
Yeah.
I was surprised.
They all are.
Borgata is, and it seems weird.
Borgata is independent.
Yeah.
Or not, I don't know if
I think Borgata is Caesar's too.
No, it's not Caesar's. It's not independent either, but it is not Caesar's.
Right.
There are corporations that have like a cartel.
Maybe it's like MGM.
Yeah, that sounds
maybe that's
right.
the other
It's
one.
MGM.
Because I remember logging on to a website that wasn't Borgata to check in.
Yeah.
Maybe one time that we were down there.
It might be Ocean or Hard Rock that are independent. Mm-hmm. But either way, I'm just going to be like that stubborn guy where I'm like, I'm never going to go to that place again. That said, they did give me some free credits. It's like $50. So fuck them. But I'm not going to scoff at $50 either.
No,
so
put it all on black and you can go home.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Let's see what really happens.
You'll go with what, $100?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really unfortunate because it's like numerous problems in our whole friend group, and like we generally that's where we'd go, like Caesars, Bally's, Trop, whatever,
because they're affordable and they do have the action.
Yeah. But like they really like just fuck when they fuck you over, they fuck you over hard.
And they really just don't like. That's what it is. The shitty part about it, because like as far as the rooms being a little bit shitty, that's fine. As far as the tables being a little bit shitty, you get what you pay for.
Right.
And they are cheaper than Borgata.
They are.
So that's fair. I have no problem with that. Shorthand me on that one. Mm-hmm. I was buying a cheaper room.
Yeah, but it should come with sheets.
The bottom line is that when it should come with sheets. Yes, absolutely.
and at least one towel.
Yeah. But the thing about it is that what I do want is that if you fucked something up, like give a little bit of service. I don't need you to suck my dick. Just fucking like, but like if I tell you that there's no towels, don't be like, oh, maybe you should have brought your own towels. That's a fucking, like, I could go to some fucking bullshit Airbnb in the middle of goddamn Nebraska and there's going to be fucking towels at it. There's a multi-billion-dollar corporation in a fairly big city in New Jersey, like a super fucking populated state.
Clearly.
We're right outside of New York and Philadelphia. And you're going to pull this podunk shit?
Clearly, you've never, you forgot to read your hitchhiker's guide. And
always
bring a towel.
Yeah. Well, you didn't say bring sheets, though.
Well, that's fair. But you did bring sheets. They just didn't have the beds for them.
Yeah. If only.
It's amazing. Like the state of things.
It's fucking hubris. That's what it is.
And I think, like, particularly this past year, it's just been like folly after folly with that fucking company.
Because they closed down all these other casinos. Not that they were closed down, but basically there wasn't enough money in the city to maintain all of these
And
casinos.
those were pretty shitty ones.
That's it.
Anyway.
Thanks, Obama. And these the ones that basically picked up the slack, since they're busy all the time, they just don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Because if they lose you because they did a shitty job, there's somebody else to pick up the slack.
There is, yeah.
There's always more New
Unfortunate.
Yorkers to come down, people who've never been there before, and they don't know the shitty situation that they're getting into.
Yeah.
So they're just going to pay it. They're not going to get the refund, and that's it. So it's like a low-key like heist game. It's a
It
shitty
kinda
Ocean's
is.
11.
It really kind of is. And it's unfortunate.
Yep, because it don't need to be that way. Anyway, I'm pissed off about it still.
Well, gentlemen, allow me to at least talk about one thing that irritated me.
Sure,
recently.
please.
So I don't know how many background checks you ever have to submit for.
I can't court order.
Well, lucky you.
That's an odd order.
A lot of these background checks, when you fill out these forms, they want you to give like the last 3 jobs that you had, or at least the last 7 years of employment. Unfortunately, I have a little gap in my employment history.
Fair, yeah.
Because I went to school in between one job because I did a career change. That's why I'm the producer of their show.
I thought you were the host. You got promoted.
Well, I am the producer as well. I've been the producer. I've been the host and the producer this whole time. Newsflash, asshole.
This is the first
He's finally getting there after his sobriety.
This is the first time I've ever seen him.
Who is this man?
I don't know. Yeah. I thought this was a trio.
So I don't know what these companies expect you to, like, am I supposed to keep in contact with the HR and the company that I worked for left 10 years ago? Like, oh, just give us the email and phone number of the HR department from someplace that you worked at when you first got out of the Navy 15 years ago.
That's funny. I'm actually on the phone with him right now.
They're sitting right next to me.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We hang out all the time.
I'm great friends with every HR department. There's nothing in this podcast that contradicts that statement, and I won't hear anything of it.
Absolutely not.
How? And also, you're running the background check. You tell me what I was fucking doing.
Not for nothing. Yeah, you find that in the background check. Yeah.
So I don't understand why I have to do all of this shit for you. I was just to find the address of the last place that I worked at. I was
like,
going through paperwork trying to figure out where the hell was that address?
It's like a gatekeeping thing in its own way, not in the traditional sense of it, but in that if you don't agree to it, then they rule you out, right? Because
Well,
they figure it's the same thing as like doing
It's like
a drug
drunk
test.
driving. Yeah, like if you don't blow into the breathalyzer, you're automatically drunk.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with all of that analogy, but I'll go with it.
There's more nuances there, but let's roll with it.
But it's the concept. I understand all that, but it's just I don't. If you're running the background check on me, then for the love of God, how am I supposed to know? First of all, I don't keep track of this. Also, like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell me if you keep in contact with your HR department, or if you jotted all this down, you're that organized where it makes me look like I'm a fucking loser. Because I didn't remember where the address was of the place that I worked at before. Certainly didn't remember the address before that. I'm like, how am I supposed to know all of this stuff offhand? Like, I got to go through my paperwork. You should see my filing cabinet.
A good employee does, Dan. A good employee never forgets their previous employer, no matter what. You think of them and you pray for them every single night.
I have trouble remembering who employs me already. Like
I think you're unemployed. Yeah.
I'll be like driving to work. I'm like, where the fuck am I going?
I don't think you're going anywhere. I think you're doing like a big loop before you get home.
Well, no, I stop places and drink.
Well, so then your employer is not the bartender. They're your employee. Where does this money come from?
I don't know, but it's always there, so I'm not going to question it. I'm just blessed.
Shout out to Nancy.
Yeah. Hi, Nance. I know you're not listening, but yeah. When I went into the federal service when I was 19 years old, so I haven't had to do. It's been like 18 years or so, but I had to do so much. It's like when. All right, I'll go down that tangent in a second, but like, so I had to do the full federal background check, the fingerprinting, the whole nine, and it's like I went into college, from high school. And was still in college when I went into federal service, and they could not like wrap their head around that.
Yeah.
And it's like they wanted like 7 years of job history. I'm like, I was 12.
Yeah.
7 years ago.
Well, listen, you should have been carrying
that.
your own fucking weight. Goddamn freeloaders.
And it's like they just could not
Dan was in the Navy when he was 10. What the fuck were you doing?
That's what I got accused of a lot of the time. How old were you when you joined this thing?
But it's crazy. I do think about that because, like, obviously I'm on my career path, and I'm hopefully never have to do that shit again. But I do work for the government, so that can be fucked tomorrow. But it's wild. Like, the hoops you have to jump through. I went for my fingerprints, had to go up to Newark, to the federal office up there to do my fingerprints. You know, they do the fingerprints, like, okay, you're good. And then I have to go back the next week because, like, oh, you pushed your fingers too hard on the fingerprint
And
thing.
they're the one.
Why shouldn't they should have known that? Yeah, exactly. They do it.
They're the ones doing it. You're just like a dead arm there, and they fucking ink you.
And it's just like, I'm just trying to get a job, man. But yeah, it's
When
crazy.
I got fingerprinted by the cops, that would have been great. When they're just like, we need you to come back. We can't make you come back, but we did this wrong. Like, oh, man, I'll totally see you guys tomorrow.
I'll see you in court.
Real quick.
Yeah.
One more thing. Justin, you mentioned how hot and humid it has been.
Yeah, it has been, yes.
And so what happens when it gets hot and humid? The state bird of New Jersey comes out in full force.
Yes.
It's the mosquito.
Yes.
And I know that's an annoyance for everybody, but for me, it seems to be the worst thing ever because I am mosquito repellent for everyone else because they just get me.
They love you, and you react so harshly to them.
When you said the state bird of New Jersey, I immediately thought of a middle finger.
That's where my head went
So
to.
did I.
I'm like, oh, they're all right.
Mosquitoes today. But yeah.
We were over at Mama Kin's.
Mama Kim.
Oh, yeah, Moses' mom.
with Mama Kin.
Daddy's got a squeeze box.
Mama got a sweet.
Oh, Daddy's got one too now.
No, his daddy doesn't sleep at night.
Not with that squeeze box, he don't.
I'm going to go and get a pack of cigarettes. I'll see you guys soon.
All right, so a little backstory on this, how bad I react. When I was going to college in my 30s, I was up in Connecticut, and their mosquitoes are actually healthy up there. So I got bit on my ankle, and it swelled up to the size of a golf ball.
God damn.
And I had to ice it down just to control the swelling. That's when I learned, if I just ice this shit down, I'll control the swelling. It won't itch that much. That's what I have to do every single time, and it is time sensitive. When we were over at Kim's, I got bit twice. It was after you guys left, and I'm like, I have to now go take like a training time out in the garage to go find an ice cube and just apply it directly to my skin.
I'm picturing Dan as like in the movie Aliens, where it's just like he's Newt when he's
in like that bath.
locked in the room and there's a face hugger in there kind of scenario, and it's just like this life and death struggle, and he's waiting for Sigourney Weaver to show up and do something about this scenario, but we had already left.
I was picturing Wanted, where they sit in like milk baths just to heal or whatever. I don't know what it was, but was it wax?
Yeah.
It was some kind of ridiculous thing, but just him just like sitting in a bath after being outside for 5 minutes and getting bit up. And
Dan, it's like, I've never seen anybody like have a reaction to bites like that like you do. It's wild.
So let me close out with one quick part of this, and then we'll move on. Friend of the show over at Ed's last summer. We were over, and he was so into how much I was attracting the mosquitoes instead of him because he was telling me how much he gets bit. I got bit at least, because I counted, 22 times on both legs.
Jesus Christ.
That's a lot.
22 times, like, total on both legs. And he was just like, oh my God, I need to have you over here all the time while I'm doing yard work.
You're like the mosquito strip?
Yeah. Is there a way that I can just like skin you alive and then just put
there is a way. Yeah. There is a way.
I'm not going to be able to cover all the property, my friend.
We got to bulk this guy up.
But 22 times in the afternoon, where they're not even prevalent.
Right.
That's like, that reminds me of when I got bit by, you guys ever accidentally stood on like a mound of chiggers?
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking awful. And then it's like that. You get like, if they get you 50 fucking times.
Well,
and
chiggers
you're
are-
just so upset for 4 weeks.
Chiggers, because they burrow under the skin essentially.
Yeah, they're
And
like mites.
Oh,
They're super
they're
small, so
terrible,
they can
terrible.
get in through your skin.
They're
It's
incredibly
brutal.
prevalent through the Pine Barrens and stuff.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was like in Boy Scouts, went camping a lot in the Pine Barrens. And you almost inadvertently every time get chiggers.
I've got fucking scars on me from scratching those.
Yeah.
It's brutal.
Nasty.
That's a mistake I'll never make again. But mosquitoes, you can't really avoid.
I had a mosquito bite. You had kind of slapped it away, and but I guess it did get me right on top of my head, and I didn't think of it. So shaving, whenever the last time I shaved was,
Gotta shave that right off.
Yeah.
I cut a big piece of the top of my head off.
Moses is bald as fuck for those who can't
Oh
see.
my god! And like it's painful, especially when I first did it. I think it was on 4th of July, and it was hot as balls, and like the sweat is just stinging this open wound.
Yeah, you did show us it on the 4th of July.
It was very, very painful.
You kind of deserve that, though.
I didn't think about it until like I already did it.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, you asshole. Like that's what like I was thinking about it the entire time to avoid it, but I just went right over it.
In fairness to you, there's no good way that you could have handled that. Because what were you going to do? Give yourself like a fucking, like you're going to go right up to it and then you have a little ponytail
around it,
right
yeah.
in the top? Or you're going to go over it super slow? Like, I mean, there's no good way to do it.
I don't know, maybe like a straight razor I would have just got around it. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
off.
Take it clean off. I don't know. Honestly, the thought of this, the visualization is upsetting.
Oh, once I hit it and the water hit it in the shower, I'm like, oh my god, so much pain. I just close my eyes. I'm like, I'm not doing anything today.
Well, Moses, if you think you were in pain then, we're going to introduce a new segment to the show. And it is called Moses Does History.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a part of the show where Moses tells us how history went.
Yeah, I have little to no recollection of anything that goes on in my life, so yeah, I can do it from the times I wasn't alive or just barely born.
Break out the popcorn, boys and girls.
Oh, absolutely.
So I was argued down because I wanted the first topic to be the Battle of Gettysburg.
Oh, jeez.
I told you no one would know that.
And so we've...
Now, just real quick, before you even get to that broader topic, how confident are you in the Battle of Gettysburg?
I've heard of it.
I told you, man.
I know he didn't know anything about it.
He can't talk about it at all. There's no conversation here. Go on.
So we've brought it up. Tell us about the Civil War.
It wasn't civil.
I hope you got more meat.
There's nothing civil about war. I learned that from Axl Rose.
You bastard.
Give us the most succinct play-by-plays you can do. The actual history, not the quips.
So we're hanging out in Britain back. I don't know when that was.
Yep.
And so we're like, no, we need a new country.
What?
Now let him talk.
We need
You
a new
wanted
country.
this.
So we're like, oh, let's get on this boat and go over here. And we came over here and we killed anybody that was already here.
Yeah, that's true.
With great precision.
Well,
And then we're like, oh, well, we got rid of the indigenous, so we have no one left to fight. Let's fight ourselves. And so that's where we get to the Civil War. There's some other things going on, but they're not important. So what happened next? Lincoln gets shot. There's slaves and such. Casablanca's made.
yeah.
Yeah, that kind of rounds it about.
Just for those of you, since we're still at only audio, I just wish that everyone could see the extreme disdain on Dan's face right now. He is shocked.
I mean,
and
thank you
appalled.
for your service back then.
So let's summarize your summary. You started with the founding and then the founding of the country and then the
I
Revolutionary
literally
War.
thought you were confusing the Revolutionary War and the Civil War.
Well, you have to know where we start.
Then you said there was a Civil War. Lincoln got shot, which happened after the Civil War.
Very much so.
And then you
Kind of
threw in-
famous.
And then you threw in slavery after.
Yeah.
I was also getting to Washington crossing the Delaware too. It was coming up.
I mean, should we dive in further? Is that a thing? Why did the Civil War happen?
Oh, because having slaves is bad.
That's close enough. Yeah. I mean,
It's more complex than that, but yeah.
Oh, it's kind of that simple. Slaves are.
well,
It's not good to have slaves.
I'm going to leave this to you, Dan. This is your idea. So,
All right.
Unless I'm wrong and it is good to have slaves.
No, it's a lot of economics involved.
All right.
depends on the slave.
Yeah.
Moses, can you tell me roughly when the Civil War took place?
No. 18 something.
18 something. Okay, we're off to a good start.
Good.
Right
It's 18
century.
something. Just give me two extra numbers. 18 something or other.
I'll go with 32.
That's so.
1832.
That's,
Jackson was in office, I think.
that's not even the Mexican War.
No.
So 1861 to 1865
all right.
is when it took place.
No.
What else do you want to tell me about the Civil War?
I mean, I think I've told you everything.
So how did the Civil War go at first? Who was winning? And also, who was fighting in the Civil War? What were the territories?
Oh, wasn't it the south of Mason-Dixon?
Okay, that's good. What was the difference? Like,
One wanted slaves and the other were like, no.
Okay, which side wanted slaves?
The South.
The South wanted
South
slaves.
were all
Okay.
about it.
What was the South called?
Wasn't it just the South?
No, there's a specific name for the country.
They did
actually
have a
wanted to
name
be.
for their own country.
That I have no idea.
You totally know this.
Do I?
Yeah, there's a
You
flag
definitely
named
do.
after it.
The Confederacy.
There it is.
Yeah.
All right.
We're working through it, baby. We're working through it.
So, name the most popular general for the Confederate States of America. You should know this because it's also the name of a car.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Is it?
I like that you did this for him.
Yeah, now
It's
I'm
very
thinking.
nice of you, Don.
Because I only know a couple of cars.
Do you want me to get specific?
Well, it's not
I'll
Kit.
pretty much tell you.
It's a
not
car
Kit.
in media.
Car in media.
It's a popular show.
Is it
They did a
Optimus
lot
Prime?
No. That is true, though. The lead general for the Confederacy was Optimus Prime.
the
And
general-
I still wonder to myself to this day how they didn't win when they had a giant robot leading them.
I mean, they already did King Arthur with the Transformers movies. I'm sure Michael Bay is listening now and he's going to.
He's getting ideas from this.
The
Yeah,
Confederacy-
Michael does listen.
The Confederacy just didn't have the touch.
They needed an Omicron cube or something like that. and
All
I
right.
would've won.
So this car, it's a car from
General Lee,
media. It's from an
General
old.
Robert E. Lee.
There you go.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, you got it.
How did the Civil War first start? Well, I mean, like in terms of who was, because we have established that now you know it was the South, the Confederate States of America, and it was against
The Yankees.
the Yankees. What?
He's not going to get this one.
called?
He's not going to
The
get
New
this
York
one.
Yankees. So they were.
It was the New York Yankees.
The general was George Steinbrenner. General George Steinbrenner. And
I mean, you are somewhat correct in that they had a general named George, but
Was that Washington or am I
no,
off?
it was not
Ah,
Washington.
damn it.
All right, so it's the North versus the South. When the war first happens, for the first couple of years, who would you, if you can tell us, who was pretty much winning the war in that first half of it at the time?
I would imagine the South had a good grasp on at the lead, but it started to dwindle as more states were like, no, fuck this.
Okay, so that's not really what happened. The Confederate States all seceded, but not pretty much at the same time. They all slowly
trickle out.
seceded at the same time.
Everybody was getting in for the winning team.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Some of them
which
got
is the
it wrong.
Yankees.
All right, so you
It
are
is the Yankees.
It's the Yankees. Sorry, Willie Mays.
you are technically correct. The South
San
was
Francisco's in the north, motherfucker.
you are technically correct that the South was, pretty much winning the war. Can you tell me when that started to change?
No,
You can't.
no.
We
Even though
already
we-
heard it earlier.
That doesn't mean I heard it.
Oh boy.
It's Dan's favorite movie.
What, JFK?
When have I ever talked about
The year was 1963.
Oh, it was
when
moving
the tide
pictures.
began to turn against the Confederates.
It's moving pictures, isn't it?
It's an album.
Well, it's a conceptual album, so you play it in your head.
It's not even a concept album. And it's not even my favorite Rush album.
It's like you know nothing.
All right, fine. 2112.
There we go. All right, but that's not an answer to the question.
Well, not to that question, but it's an answer to
What
other
was the
questions.
turning point of the Civil War? And we already mentioned it.
Did we?
It was literally the topic that you were going to be given.
Oh, the Battle of Gettysburg.
Yes.
Attaboy.
There we go. All right. So what came from the Civil War? What happened afterward?
A bit of improvement over, like, not a whole lot of improvement, but war was won, and, blacks started to get some rights.
What was that called?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
When the slaves
There was
were
a- yeah,
freed,
what
there was
Dan-
a specific name.
What
Oh, what the Emancipation
There it is.
Proclamation?
Yes.
I don't listen to hip hop.
Well, no, like I don't know why I should know all of this because Taylor Swift doesn't talk about it. So Why should I know it?
He's right. He's right.
Yeah. Why would anyone want to know the history of the war that literally freed the slaves?
I think this might be my new favorite segment.
Anybody got any follow-up questions with Moses on the Civil War?
I was just thinking, like, my only contribution, it's not a question to Moses, but it's that what he just said chimes in with me. Why should we know about history that Taylor Swift doesn't talk about? And it makes me think about, like, what would her Holocaust song look like?
It would be a breakup album. Like,
Yeah. Oh, my God. Absolutely.
Just
Things were
losing-
good with the Germans, but then it started to go south.
yeah, they turned like they were very toxic.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Absolutely. A lot of toxic masculinity. I don't know how we worded that these days.
Toxic whiteicity.
White. Oh,
Wow.
All right. We're making up words now.
All words are made up, Pete. We had this conversation
We
yesterday.
did. It was a drunken, angry conversation.
I can't remember what that other word I was trying like that I don't like just because it sounds stupid.
I don't remember.
I forget what word it
It was
was,
a very stupid conversation. I remember I multiple times thought about driving into a telephone pole just because we were conversing with each other.
I'm glad that my deepest conversation with Moses yesterday was about banana peppers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was a dream. It's such an absurd
fever
conversation.
dream.
Such an absurd conversation. I could have sworn that was a dream and didn't actually happen, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Because I was half expecting
We've all been there.
sandwiches on the ride here. I'm like, I am kind of hungry now.
Well, that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That was beautiful.
Yep.
You are a scholar.
Yeah.
And-
I have no questions. I wouldn't know where to begin.
I feel like I can't even distill anything vague enough. All my shit would be too niche.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It don't matter. None of this matters.
All right, Carl. Good Lord.
I guess what matters is that blacks were no longer legally slaves because of the Emancipation Proclamation, a delightful rap album from Kodak Black, which I strongly encourage everyone to listen to. It's
Do
fantastic.
listen to Kodak Black.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. And what else? The English brought us here, and then the Civil War happened pretty much immediately. And Washington was present.
And then we didn't even get into the whole idea that the English were, negotiating with the Confederacy
Oh, yeah.
during
Oh,
the
big
Civil
time.
War.
Well, no, because
they wanted
the
cotton.
English, if we just go by English history,
just like
then they've
losing.
obviously done no wrong because they're just a delightful people who did not enslave most of the world. And I think that I speak for myself and my fellow Americans here, Americans listening, the country of India, all 1.4 billion people who live there, China, well, the 2 billion people who live there, and most of Africa and South America as well, and the rest of Europe, pretty much, unless they were fighting with alongside France at the time.
Spice Isles.
Yeah, absolutely, the Spice Isles. Most of the Caribbean, in fact. Yeah, the southern Pacific. For a time, we had Hong Kong, so on and so forth. And the bottom line is that all of these people, I speak for everybody, that the English are really the ones who did the right thing throughout this. We Americans fought amongst ourselves over these trivial subjects that really, as Moses so eloquently put, don't relate to us and don't matter. And I'm just glad that the English were there to kind of give us a little bit of guidance, to kind of dig us up out of the mud, as it were, and give us a little bit of culture, a little bit of civilization. And when I look around the room here, I see a lot of savages, people who don't speak in English accents, people who maybe don't even drink tea when they wake up in the morning or at 9 a.m. or at 11 a.m. or at 1
When does the
PM.
patent flag drop down behind him?
Yeah. Oh, my God. I was just going to keep going until somebody stopped me.
You're clearly talking about.
Oh, my
Patton
God. Can
Oswalt,
we
right?
destroy England? Is that a thing? Can we, just make this really militant?
I think that would be a topic for another podcast.
All right, fine.
That's how we get
I'll
our
save
TLC
my
show.
vitriol.
That's how we get
hate
our
the
TLC
English.
show. Is we keep being militant, and
Yeah.
they'll pick us up for
That's
a couple
fair enough.
seasons.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, everybody. If you liked that segment, please, hit us up on social media and also, ask some questions. Give us a topic. What do you want Moses to talk about in a historical context next?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the Revolutionary War that you were
It
about to
seems
talk
like that's what he wanted to talk about.
That's my favorite one.
Maybe it's the Dust Bowl, as you wanted to talk about.
I did do a report on the Dust Bowl in high school, and it was the most boring thing, and I hated myself for picking it. My teacher told me, like, don't do this. This is stupid. And I'm like, I don't care.
Not a big fan of the Grapes of Wrath, huh?
Oh, God, no. God, no.
God, no.
That book is terrible.
So, Moses, closing thoughts on the first ever Moses Does History segment.
I learned a lot, and I also will not remember any of this. I would like to get into more of the taco legislation or anti-taco legislation that came up because of that with Robot Lincoln, but we'll delve on that another time.
Very good. Justin, closing thoughts on everything we've talked about in this podcast.
You know, I do feel lighter. I feel freer. I've gotten some aggravation off my chest, and somehow now I'm dumber, too. So
I think we're all dumber. Yeah.
I guess what they say is true. Ignorance is bliss.
Amen.
And Willie Mays Hayes.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can also, I kind of feel like I am a little bit dumber after this, but in some ways I am educated about my fellow man. Shout out to Jimmy Houston Davenport. He was my favorite third baseman when I played for the San Francisco Giants.
I wish we could get both of you on the podcast.
I would love that, actually. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Maybe we can do that for the next one.
Happen.
Maybe we can make that happen for the next one. Yeah. But it's just been fantastic being here. Thank you so much. Moses, thank you for educating me. And that's it.
Very good. And if you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe to this podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. Check us out on YouTube and Rumble. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. You can also follow us on social media. We are at Loud and Drunk on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you enjoyed this podcast, then become a Loud and Drunk supporter at loudanddrunk.locals.com and patreon.com/loudanddrunk. So for Justin, Moses, and Willie Mays Hayes, I'm your host, your guide, your producer, Dan Legendstein. Thank you. L'chaim. This podcast was a bit of a schlep, but I hope you enjoyed it. Tell your mother that you listened. Thank you for joining us. And until next time, this is Loud and Drunk.
Bye-bye.
Shalom.